everything is based upon consciousness. And I feel like prior to me finding my art, I felt like I was wandering and lost. And when I had that awakening, that moment of clarity in the museum, and everything that had happened up until that point, I felt like I was wandering, and I had found it. And the tears that I cried that night in the museum was a release of my experience as an African American man, and just how I had been treated working in corporate America and not getting the accolades for all the work that I had done. And I felt like I had found my place, something that I had been searching for, because I was, I moved to DC, and I got there and I was like, I want a nice house, and I want a nice car, and I want to do all these things. And after I got all that, I still felt so empty. But when I started to do this, I knew I had found my calling. And so that's why I call this one American Nomad. And it's a self-portrait of sorts. And I have I was just telling him about another one of my paintings that I also is a symbolic self-portrait of my entire journey. And it's on display in DC as well.
Okay. So tell me about the technique.
My technique, so I paint, I'm really into architecture. And with my paintings, I don't draw. I just go in and do impressions. So it's like, if you can think about building a building, you lay foundation. And so I go in and I'll go in and do all of my darks first. And I paint not only for you to see the paintings, I want you to be able to touch and feel it. So like, I always say, like, I always think about when I go into a museum, and you know how they say, don't touch the art, right? I always think about, like, what if somebody's blind and they can't see? I want the painting to be so textured that they could, if possible, they could feel it and feel the painting. And so that's why everything I do, I try to do it very textured, so you can not only see it, feel it. I want it to feel like it's coming off the page. And that's how all of my paintings are. They're very textured and thick. And I lay layers. Like, I'll go back and, like, on this one, I probably went in and, started in, I would put all my darks in, and then come in and just add the light.
I like that a lot.
Thank you. It's it was my favorite.
So how'd you do the hair wrap? Very interesting.
I think, so I started out with, like, one, I did all the darks first, but when I went in, I wanted the head wrap, because of what it symbolizes. I wanted to literally almost come off the page. So with my technique and how I paint, when I originally had my awakening, I was doing this, it was like an etching. And that's how I paint. Like, I'll go in and I'll just start to do this etching. And as you can see, like, you see how, like, it may be here, there's texture going up this way. Like, it may start out that way, and then I'll come back and paint over it in another direction. And that's because I'm doing this.
I got you.
And sometimes I'll do it very, very fast. And then it also depends on the feeling that I'm like. If I'm angry about something or very happy about something, it's almost kind of like a vibe. The energy, and I always that energy in everything I paint. And then if it's something that I'm doing very detailed, I'm still doing that etching, but it's a little bit softer because I want to create some detail.
I think with your eyes, I feel like you really is at home.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
can really see, you can look into them.
I appreciate it.
Beautiful. So I look forward to seeing the rest of the things, and then I want to pass those on to the committee because I really do like what I'm seeing.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. A lot of what I painted, I did a lot of stuff during the pandemic. Well, I had started some things, but I started a lot of personal feelings into my works during the pandemic, you know, with everything that was going on with, like, George Floyd and, you know, being in Washington, D.C. and all of the, it was just such an interesting time, you know, just a lot of anger and, you know, I have 2 boys of my own, and I just always think about if I got a phone call and somebody had killed my child, how I would feel. And I did a painting called The Call, based upon that. And this other painting that I did, all based upon that experience, or the experiences that I feel like African Americans have been having, that have been, you know, we've been having them for, you know, since we've been here, right? But I feel like this has brought it to the forefront and the spotlight. And a lot of that work that's on display in DC is based upon, you know, just all of that pain and anger and, you know, even situations from working in corporate America, and, you know, I work in human resources, and just how they want you to be silent, you know. Like, you see so many things, and like, I saw about 15 black people let go from the company for literally nothing. And there would be the other races that were, you know, messing up left and right and still at the company. So just all of that has kind of allowed me to, this is my voice.
Gotcha.
You know, and I think you'll see a lot of that reflected in the work.
Hello.
I have an order for